Hi folks, my name is Darren Gerdes. Here are today's three big stories. So in RT, we see that Russians hacked Microsoft, and what they did was they went after the senior leadership, their employee emails and that kind of information. They weren't really trying to get user data, but this apparently happened some time ago, back in the end of November, and it only came to light on January 12th, and they're just reporting this in RT now. While Russia is doing that kind of thing, this is what Ukraine was doing. Ukraine's blackjack hackers breached 500 Russian military sites and caused chaos, says military intelligence. So what did they do? A Ukrainian group of hackers with possible ties to the country's main spy agency stole construction plans for over 500 military sites. Well, what kind of information did they get? A successful cyber attack had been launched against a Russian state enterprise overseeing all construction contracts for Russia's military defense. They wrote that operatives have transferred critical information about Russian military facilities, 1.2 terabytes of classified information on all of the military apparatus. The mined information includes crucial data about Russian army headquarters, air defense installations, and weapons arsenal. Seems like time well spent. Second story. So Donald Trump has said a lot about how he would have the war solved in one day. He's repeated this again and again. And so Zelensky actually said today, again, and he said this a few weeks ago as well, but Donald Trump, I invite you to Ukraine, to Kyiv. So if you can stop the war in 24 hours, I think it would be good enough to come. So, hey, that's a great idea. If you can actually do this, come now. Let's solve this in 24 hours. So that kind of diffuses some of that message. Okay, last story. This is the ISW. President Putin was falsely claiming that Russia supports the, quote, unconditional equality, unquote, and, quote, sovereignty, unquote, of all states in a January 20 letter to the Non-Aligned Movement Summit, contradicting their official position on its war in Ukraine and its wider imperial ambitions. So they're saying they support the equality and sovereignty of all nations when clearly they don't when they're doing what they're doing to Ukraine. But here's why, and this is really important to understanding Russia. Putin claimed that Russia rejects, quote, neo-colonialist ambitions, double standards, as well as the forceful pressure, dictatorship, and blackmail as a means of achieving foreign policy and foreign economic goals, unquote, while they're doing it. But it's because they're doing what they're doing because it's part of the Russkyi Mir, as they define it, which is any Russians anywhere, not just within the borders of Russia. Watch this. Russia officials had routinely denied Ukraine's sovereignty and refused to treat it as an equal. The Kremlin rejects Ukrainian statehood and nationhood by incorporating Ukraine into the ideological and geographic conception of the Russian world, that is the Russkyi Mir, which includes any Russian speakers and carriers of Russian history and culture as compatriots and includes all the former territories of Kiev and Rus, the Kingdom of Muscovy, the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, and the contemporary Russian Federation. So if you have any Russians within your borders, watch out, because that's what's going on. By the way, if Ukraine was not a nation, why was it before, like it was not really a nation, it was just part of the Soviet system, why did it have representation at the UN when the Soviet Union was made up of multiple nations that were the Soviet Union? Anyway, just food for thought. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.